Welcome back, guys. Leo McCarthy, spiritual mentor, psychic and medium, Reiki Master, EFT Tapping practitioner, and Shaman. What I want to talk about right now is how do many of us become a victim of gaslighting? And what is gaslighting? Gaslighting is a form of psychological manipulation that the gaslighter tries to create doubt and confusion of our either perception or memories or our reality. And who are our gaslighters? These could be actually our partners. This could be friends. It could be family. It could be our children. It could be our co-workers. It could be our bosses. And really, the gaslighter is taking advantage of our wounds of either abandonment. It takes advantage of our wounds of being good enough, being worthy, deserving. And it triggers fear in being vulnerable to these wounds and these wounds surfacing. And the gaslighter, there may be situations or events that are part of our memories with them that they are denying and not taking responsibility for themselves and trying to confuse us and redirect the attention off of them, and hence distorting the reality of maybe the situation that took place. And many of the gaslighters have started this form of psychological manipulation over other people because of their own wounds. And it is really a survival tactic and a sense of control that comes from a lot of anticipatory anxiety over maybe situations that haven't happened yet, anticipatory anxiety over reactions to maybe their behaviors, their decisions, their choices, and them not wanting to take responsibility. And so if they can control how they look to themselves and view themselves, they can maintain a sense of control in the chaos of their own thoughts and their own environments and their own situations that they either get themselves into or go through. And in order to recognize gaslighting and being a victim, sometimes it has to be drawn to our attention. And it could be drawn to our attention from friends, family, co-workers, and we may not want to accept it or acknowledge it because it triggers these wounds in us and triggers these fears that we don't want to feel. And so we first, in order to do something about gaslighting and being a victim and regain a sense of control over the situation of not allowing the psychological manipulation to happen over us, we have to be ready to heal these wounds that are making us vulnerable. And we have to be ready to kind of feel the emotions attached to these wounds and allow other professionals or other people to hold space for us to acknowledge these wounds and us to feel these wounds and recognize that we need to kind of work on and reframe these wounds in us and reframe the old stories in us that in the past have actually taken power away from us and taken a sense of control away from us. And working on this healing may require things like starting to do talk therapy. It could mean exploring other modalities like somatic release, acupuncture, hypnotherapy, and other modalities that are available out there. And it's a matter of sometimes trial and error to try some things and see if they work and you're emotionally receptive to these modalities yet. And there is the possibility of turning around being a victim of gaslighting into being a survivor and putting that psychological manipulation over us in our past and regaining the confidence from regaining our sense of control and calling back our power and to be empowered to have the strength in our own confidence in ourselves and grow our self-esteem and be able to, going forward, be able to set these emotional and physical boundaries with these gaslighters. And so these boundaries may be difficult, and I would recommend going back and watching some of my videos on setting boundaries to get a little bit of insight on also why sometimes it's hard to set boundaries and why we struggle with that. And then what do the boundaries look like and what can we expect from setting boundaries? And so I just wanted to scratch the surface rather of what gaslighting looks like and maybe allowing us to recognize if we are being manipulated and what we can do about it. So I would watch this more than once, and I would also go back to some of my videos on are we ready to heal, why we struggle setting boundaries, and how to set boundaries to be helpful in this situation of regaining a sense of control back. If you like this information, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and we'll talk soon.